What's going on, guys? I wanted to go over the futures and prop firm. I had a chat on this before, but the audio wasn't working. Figured I'd record it again. Hopefully work this time. But the basis of this PowerPoint is to talk about futures for those who are interested in futures. We're not sure exactly what futures are. It's real brief and simple for futures. And then talk about prop firms too, because prop firms get a bad rep. And I wanted to go over a couple different prop firms, point out a few things on them. So when I do talk about futures, what I'm going to be referring to is the ES, which is basically SPY. So Trading Decoded concentrate on trading SPY, but for anyone who's interested in trading futures, the ES is basically the same thing as trading SPY. They follow suit. ES moves up, SPY's moving up, and vice versa. SPY moves down, ES moves down. So it gives people the ability to trade futures and be in Trading Decoded and watch, Jimmy in his chat when he talks about SPY movements. It also refers to ES movements. The first thing I want to go over again is futures, and the platform. When I talk about futures, I'm going to be talking about Tradovate. I know there's several different platforms out there, but I'm familiar with Tradovate, their fees and stuff, so I'm going to talk about the Tradovate platform. The futures, the way futures moves is it basically moves in 25-cent increments, which is considered a tick. And then 4 ticks equals $1, which is 1 point. So on the news and stuff, you'll hear them talk about, the Dow has moved 100 points or lost 100 points. Basically, it's dollars. Lost $100 or up $100. So each dollar move, though, is broken down into, like I said earlier, 4 ticks for 25-cent increments. And then I'll go over how much dollar value it is per tick or per point. But comparing, ES is like trading SPX options. If you're familiar with SPX and how fast it moves, that is similar to ES. And then MES is more comparable to SPY options because it's a lower dollar amount. And when you hear, people talk about ES, that is also a mini. So a mini equals ES, which is the higher dollar value. And here's the dollar value amount. Tick is $12.50, which means 4 ticks, which is a point, would be $50 in the mini, which is ES. The micro, which is MES, it's the exact same thing, except it just costs a lot cheaper. So it's $1.25 per tick, which means a point, which is 4, would be $5 per point. So the fees that Tradovate charges would be, if you trade one mini contract, it's $5.58 per contract. And the micro side of it is $1.74 per contract. And then Tradovate itself, if you're trading off of the Tradovate platform, you'll need data feed for it. And I think it's called top tier data or something, but it's roughly $4. It might be $4 and some change. It's $4 to get the top tier data. And then if you want to link your Trading View to Tradovate, it's an additional $9.99. So roughly, right around $15 with tax and stuff. You could get started on a personal account on Tradovate, be able to have Trading View linked to it. So if you make a trade on Tradovate, it'll show up in Trading View on the chart. Some of the good things about futures is there's no Greeks to worry about, mainly the theta. So if you're in a trade, you don't have to worry about it deteriorating over time. As long as it's going in your favor, you're good. Regardless if it takes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours move, it's not deteriorating. Whereas with options, if it's taking longer for the price to move up, theta is moving against you. Basically, the price of that isn't going to be moving up as good. So that's one of the benefits. One of the downfalls of it is you basically can lose your whole account. And I'll go over that in the next slide. Where with options, when you trade, you can only lose the amount of money you have in that option. So for example, you pay $200 for an option contract. You can only lose $200. Whereas in futures, if you $200 is basically 4 micros, because it's 50 cents or $50 per micro. Therefore, $200 would be 4 of them. And if your account goes below that $200 limit, you lose your account regardless. And again, I'll cover that in the next slide. It's tradable 24/6, so this is a good and bad thing. If you're one of those people that can't stay away from the market, it's a bad thing, because you'll constantly be in there wanting to trade. Basically, like the casino's open 24/7. It's almost like that, 24/6. If you're responsible and say you work, can't trade during the day and you can only trade in the evenings, then yes, futures is good for you. So when I say 24/6, basically from 6 p.m. Eastern time to Friday, 6 p.m., you can trade them. Although each day, basically it closes an hour. So from 5 p.m. Eastern time to 6 p.m. Eastern time, it closes. Futures doesn't trade. If you hold a trade from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., you need a higher margin. So when I talk about margin in the next slide, I don't even go into how much margin you need if you're going to hold from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So basically, close out your trades 5 p.m. because it takes a heck of a lot more margin to hold from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it's kind of confusing on the website, Tradovate website, when it talks about margin. It talks like after hours, the margin costs more. Not really. It only costs more if you hold between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. If you open a contract or open a position at 6 p.m., it's still the normal margin of either $50 for a micro or $500 for a mini. Again, I'll go over that here in a minute. Some of the tax benefits, or the tax benefit of doing futures with your personal account, is they're taxed the same as SPX, or SPX is taxed the same as futures. It's 60% long-term gains and 40% ordinary tax, where you're trading regular options and stuff, it's 100% just regular ordinary income. You don't get no tax benefit. So on futures, to trade futures, you need a margin. So for each contract, so for one mini contract, you need at least $500 in your account to be able to put on one contract of a mini. $50 for a micro. For example, we'll say you have $600 in your account. Well, we'll just use this here. We'll say for micros, you have $500 like this picture. You have $500 in your account. You're going to choose to trade 6 micros, which 6 times $50 for the margin is $300. So right away, that $300 is the margin you need to keep in that account or it'll close. So here's a graph. You get in with those 6 micros, green line, you start out at $500. It goes up, you're good money. It comes back down, you're back down to $500. Moves up, you're good. But once it breaks below this $500, now you hit that $400. For me personally, that would be a stop loss if that's all I had. And even then, it might even be a tighter stop loss. But Because once it goes below $300, regardless of how much money you started with, so you have $500 in your account, you need $300 worth of margin to keep those 6 contracts. So what happens is when your dollar amount of your account goes below that $300, it liquidates your account and closes your account. So even though technically you still have, that $300 in your account, you didn't go down to zero, you lose your account because you need $300 of that $500 to hold 6 micros. So once it goes below that level, you don't have the money to hold those 6 micros, and it'll liquidate your account. So over here on the right side, we'll say you have $1,500 and you decide to put on 2 mini contracts, which will equal $1,000. So basically, when your account goes below $1,000, even though, it looks like, oh, I still have money in it, you don't. It'll wipe your account out. So we start at $1,500, it goes up, you're doing good. Once it starts pulling back and it goes below that $1,000 mark, basically, again, it closes your account because you need at least $1,000 in your account to hold those 2 minis. And what happens is when it goes below that, it says, he doesn't have that amount of money. We're basically closing the account and wipes your account out. And I do believe you even have to pay if that happens. I think, honestly, I can't remember. It's been so long since I traded out of my personal account but when that happens, you actually have to pay a fee on top of it. So that's why futures get a bad rep, because even though you have $1,500 in your account, you're only trading 2 mini contracts. That margin is what kills you in futures. You need to keep that and maintain that $1,000 as long as you're in that trade. You can get out of this trade at $1,025. That's fine. You get out, you're still good. And then you could go to trading or you could go down to trading 1 mini or switch over to micros. Because 1 mini, you'd have $500, you could trade. So that's where the whole idea of futures, you can lose your whole account, comes in. It deals with that margin. And different brokers have higher margin. Like Toss, instead of having like $500 for a mini, it's in the thousands. I'm not sure if it's like $1,500, $2,000. Honestly, I do not know. Didn't even look to it because I just stay away from Toss. Tradovate, AMP, Iron Beam, there might be a couple other ones. They're roughly this $500, $50 deal for futures. So for me, the reason why I like to trade futures is you need less of a move to make more money than a SPY option. Basically, just like SPX. So you don't need a huge move and you can get decent gains by trading futures. So that's why I choose to trade futures. It suits my style. I'm a scalper. I like to get in, ride that initial momentum push and then get out. So for me, that's why futures more or less fit my style of trading and why I trade futures. Plus, I'm able to trade futures in the evenings later on. So I like that. So now I'm going to go into prop firms. The great thing about prop firms is that you don't need a lot of money up front, and it will allow you to trade futures like you should be able to trade. So for example, like I showed you earlier, even with $1,500 in your account, you can only trade 2 minis because you're limited on how much money you can lose before you can lose your account. So that's where the prop firm comes in. You pay anywhere between $30 to $100. It gives you that liquidity, that money, where you don't have to worry about margin. Most prop firms usually give you anywhere between $200 to $2,500 worth of money trade where you don't have to take into account the margin aspect. Whatever dollar amount you lose. So, for example, if prop firm, and on average, we'll say 50K account, they give you $2,000 or $2,500 worth of drawdown. I'll go over that in a minute. That's the capital you have to lose. Unlike being your personal account where you have to make sure you have the margin in your account to cover that, that's where the prop firms come in, is you don't have to worry about the margin aspect of it. As long as you don't lose that full $2,000 or $2,500, you don't lose your account. So you, again, you don't have to worry about keeping, that $500 worth of margin in it. It basically does that for you. So here are the top 6 prop firms that I've done, and out of those top 6, there's a couple of them that I've more than others. And I'll go over the whole prop firm, each one of them, the rules and stuff. But what I want to cover is prop firms get a bad rep. I believe prop firms is probably one of the best ways to learn how to trade, because unlike a paper account where you have no skin in the game whatsoever, you could reset your account, within minutes, and you're back up to $100,000 or whatever it is you choose to do in a paper account. Now, if you trade a paper account, like say for example, you're going to have maybe $1,000 to trade, and you put the paper account at $1,000, yeah, it's more realistic, but still your feels aren't the same in that paper account as it is in actual trading. Plus, you still have no skin in the game. So if you lose that $1,000, it's nothing. You just reset your account and you're good to go. So with the prop firm, the majority of them, you can get an account less than $100. So I'm just going to $50. You put $50 in, and it gives you the capital to trade. And if you do good, you can actually get paid out from that prop firm. So that's a good thing. You have some money in the game. You have something that inspires you to do good, not just willy-nilly get in there and just, trade and be, oh, well, I blew it. It's only $50. I know $50 is, to me, $50 is $50. I don't like just giving money away. So it gives you some skin in the game that makes you want to do good and learn. And that's the whole idea, how I look at prop firms, as it's a good learning tool. It's a good transitioning from, trading to actually trading real money with the futures aspect. Some people say, well, if you have the capital, just put it in and, trade futures with your own capital. Yeah, that's fine and good. But another good thing with a prop firm is you don't have to put up that much capital to actually trade properly. Again, if you're thrown in, $50 and you lose $50, yeah, $50 sucks losing. But what if you put in $5,000, or we'll just say $2,000, since that's where the majority of the prop firms people buy, 50K account, which is $2,000. Throw in $2,000, you lose $2,000. That's $2,000 of your own money. Or with a prop firm, you're only paying $50 to trade that $2,000. So if you lose that $2,000, you're only really losing $50. So in that aspect of it, good for you. Very good training tool if you're looking into getting into futures. A lot of people, again, say, well, there's too many rules. Prop firms are set up for the majority, for the firms themselves. They want to make money. So if you're not a disciplined trader, you're not good, you don't follow rules, even your own rules, you're probably not going to do good in prop firm. So as in too many rules in prop firms, there's really not that many rules in prop firms. They may have a consistency rule, which basically means you can only make so much money a day. It doesn't close your account or anything. We'll just say you have a profit target of $3,000. You need to hit this $3,000 before you can start pulling money out of your account. Well, the consistency rule, we'll say it's 30%, basically means if you're looking to make $3,000 to start pulling money out, you can't make more than $900 in one day. If you do, that just means your profit target moves up. So say, for example, you make $1,000. Well, you're over that, you're $100 over it. So what would give you $1,000? 30% of what would make at, $1,000. So you $3,500 or something like that. Or no, 3,000. You need to make what, $4,000? No, that won't even work. 3,000 minus 30%, $900. So what is it? You need $3,300 and not even 3,500. So roughly between 3,300 and 3,500. I don't know the exact number. I'm terrible at math. But basically, you don't lose your account. You just have to make more to equal out that 30%. I'm not a big fan of the consistency rule, but it's there to help the prop firms, one, to show that you're consistent. That's what they say, but it's one of the rules that, for them, that benefits the prop firm. Another rule, well, we'll just go over the rules whenever we go into the prop firms because it's easier. I have them written down. I can see them. But you hear this statistic, usually it's 95, 80 to 95% of people who do prop firms, they fail. Okay, that's true. And the statistics that they're talking about here is someone that, they're looking at people who pass the prop firm and then stay in it longer. They're not looking at statistics of who pass it and then withdraw money and then blow their account. They're not looking at that statistic. They're just looking at longer term. So if it's 80 to 95% of them fail with a prop firm, okay, but the money you lose is only $50. Maybe $100, $135, whatever, if you buy a bigger account. I'll talk about the bigger account. That's one of the things that it's a marketing scheme. But let's look at it as a regular normal trader. 90% of a regular traders fail. But that's your real money that you lose. So for example, you go in and you want to trade again $2,000 or $5,000, there's a 90% chance that you're going to fail and lose that money. Whether you lose all of it or, again, we'll kind of go back to the rules of a prop firm. How much of that money are you willing to lose before you say, okay, I'm done? I'm either done for the day or, what, I'm not trading anymore. Done. In general. So comparison-wise with prop firms, yeah, that 90% is basically the same percentage of people who fail a prop firm. But one of the advantages of a prop firm is you're only out $50. You're only out $100. You're not out of that huge capital. That's why I say when it comes to learning how to even trade, whether it's your system or a trade plan, prop firms are good way of trying to test out your system, learn the system, because again, you have some money in the game where you don't want to just willy-nilly it and half-ass it, so to speak. You want to try, because if you pass, you get paid out. I've been paid out of a prop firm a couple times now, several times with a prop firm. And there's other people that post, too, they've been paid out prop firms. So get that idea out of your head if that's one of the ideas of, hey, I'm never going to get paid out with a prop firm. There's too many rules. They won't pay me. I've never been, at least with the way I trade, and I'm a scalper. I'm in, I'm out. There's times I might be in and out within 30 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute. But I have been paid. There has been never a time where they say, nope, the way you trade, you were in and out too quick, or this or that. We're not going to pay you because you broke one of our rules. I've never had that problem at all. Most people over leverage this one here, and that's what prop firms, that's more or less, to me, that's how they make their money, is because they count on people over leveraging. So for example, in a $50,000 account, you have a drawdown of $2,000 or $2,500, you can trade up to either 5 minis or 10 minis. So 5 minis is what, $250 a point. And if you only have $2,000, you know, what is that? You know, that's basically 8 points if you're putting on 5 contracts. That's an $8 move. You can lose your account. And that's basically what they bank on. And then if you play max contracts, which would be $500, that means 4 points and you lose your account. So to me, that's how they make their money. So if you play responsibly and trade responsibly and say, okay, yeah, I can trade up to 10 contracts. You know what? I'm only going to trade 1 or 2. Treat it just like we would trading. Go for those base hits. Don't try to make a shitload of money in a matter of 15 minutes or 1 day even. Take those base hits like you would normally trade your account, because even if you over leverage in your account, you can blow your personal account too. So to me, again, there's no, the prop firm this or prop firm that. It's really no different than trading your own money. Granted, they do have a couple rules that are for them, like I said, and I'll go over them whenever I'll point them out, talk about the actual firms themselves. But to me, I'm a big fan of the prop firm just because to me it's a good learning tool. It helps you. So you hear 2 different types of drawdowns. You have a trailing drawdown, which is one of the Apex is probably one of the bigger firms out there. I know it's the cheapest firm to get a contract with. They use a trailing drawdown. A lot of the other firms use what's called the end of day drawdown. So in comparison, and once we get towards the end of this, the numbers are screwed up. I pulled this from the internet. Very good visualization of 2 different ones. So you start out both of them at 50,000. Your drawdown is $2,500. So when I say drawdown of $2,500, basically that's what you have to trade. You lose that $2,500, you lose your account. So even though the account says it's a $50,000 account, that doesn't mean jack shit. The only thing that matters is the drawdown. And that's where prop firms, before I get into this, I'll get on my high horse about that. That's the prop firm marketing gimmick is you get a $50,000 account, you get a $150,000, $300,000 account. That's all fine and dandy, but the fine print, what you have to look at is the drawdown. What is the drawdown? Because that's how much money you actually have to trade. Normally in a $50,000 account, it's anywhere between $2,000 and $2,500. And then it goes up. For a $100,000 account, it might go from $2,000 to $3,000. $150,000 account, it might move up to $5,000. And then Apex, I think they have a $250,000 and a $300,000 where you have like maybe $12,000 to trade or $1,400 or $14,000 to trade. Of course, you have to make almost double that to pass it, but don't get caught up on, oh, I got a $300,000 account, I could trade forever. You want to look at the drawdown. That's what that's the main thing of the prop firm. So anyway, back to the trailing drawdown versus end of day. This is $2,500 in both accounts, regardless of units. It's $50,000, but you have $2,500 to trade. You don't want to lose no less than that $2,500. So you make $800. In both accounts, you're up to $50,800. In the trailing drawdown, what that means is instead of staying at $4,700, it follows you. So now it moves up to $48,300. So it's $2,500 less than what you just made. Now the end of day drawdown stays at that 47 all day long. Regardless of how much you make, it doesn't move up with you. So you lose $1,000 here, you're back down to 49.8. The drawdown doesn't move to the downside, so it doesn't trail against you. So if you lose money, it doesn't go down, it stays where it's at. So if you lose $1,000 here, now you can only lose, what is that, about $1,500 instead of that $2,500. You can only lose $1,500 now, or you lose your account. Here we come over to the end of day drawdown, boom, it's down to 49.8. You actually can lose, what is that, 2,000. It goes down a little bit because originally it was 2,500. You gained 800 loss, so 23. You can lose $2,300 in the end of the day. Up here, you can only lose 15. So as you can see, end of day drawdown benefits you, especially if you're wanting to hold more. So we'll say the price goes up, but you didn't sell. So, and that's okay. So the price moves up $2,000, but you decide, hey, it's going to move higher. I'm going to hold on to this, and I want to see how high it goes. But then it drops back down to where you would break even, and you decide, okay, I'm going to get out at break even. Well, because the price went up $2,000 in the trailing drawdown, it follows you up. Even though you did not take that money out, you didn't cash out at 51,000 or 51,800. The trailing drawdown says, hey, you could have cashed out here. It follows you up to $2,500 less than that. So now your trailing drawdown is 49,300. Again, remember, you let it come back down to break even. So your price now, you're still at 49,800. So you only got $500 you can lose right here. Down here, same concept. It goes up. You didn't sell. You let it come back to break even. You basically still $2,300 to lose. So that's the big benefit of that end of day drawdown. You end up gaining $500. So now your balance is 50,300. Again, the trailing drawdown, it doesn't move up because it was $2,500 from this 51, so it stays there. Down here, you gain 500. You're up 50,300. So basically, $2,800 now. You're to the good. But then you lose $1,000 at the end of the day, or not even end of the day. You lose $1,000. Now your balance goes down to this 49,300. Technically, it has to go below that, but you get the point. In the trailing drawdown, you lose that $1,000, you blow your account, you're done for the day. With the end of day drawdown, you lose that $1,000, you're at 49,300. You still have $1,800 left if you want to continue the trade, or to say, okay, I'm going to call it a day. Tomorrow's another bad day. You still have $1,800. So that's the biggest difference between the trailing drawdown and end of day drawdown. Which one's better? Personally, I really do like the end of day drawdown, but in majority of prop firms, if they give you a opportunity to pick between the end of day and trailing drawdown is always going to be cheaper to purchase than. Now, some firms, what they do is, another gimmicking scheme is, yeah, you have $2,500 worth of drawdown, but if you lose $1,000 in a day, you blow your account. So technically, you don't have that $2,500 to trade with. You only have $1,000. Now that $1,000, it's kind of like an end of day drawdown. So if you gain that $1,800, now you can lose $1,800 instead of $1,000. You lose that $1,000. Now you can only lose $800, and it closes your account, regardless of, even though you have this 47.5, if you lose another $800, it closes your account. So it's a scheme, and that's one of those prop firms where, to me, it's a scam, because they give you $2,500, they say, but technically it's only $1,000 they give you. And to me, that's just wrong. Now, Top Step does that, but what they do is, if you hit that $1,000 daily, and I'll just cover it whenever it's Top Step. So the first one to go over is Apex. I go over Apex because it's probably one of the biggest firms out there. Again, it's the cheapest firm. They do the trailing drawdown, but it's not, if you just want to learn how to trade and mix with prop firms, or start with prop firms, this is probably the best one to go with, just because it's the cheapest. You don't have a lot invested in it to try it out and see, okay, what's this all about. So their rules are you have to trade a minimum of 7 days. Sometimes they have a special where they say, hey, you can pass in 1 day. Again, it's a marketing scheme because what they're wanting people to do is over leverage and blow their accounts because that's where they'll make money. So trade a minimum of 7 days basically means that even if you hit the profit target, you still have to trade these 7 days. So we'll say on day one for a 50K account, I need to reach $3,000 for the account in general. On day one, I make $3,001. So I pass that account technically, but I still have to trade it 6 more days because that's part of their rules. I have to continue trading, 6 more days to actually pass that account. But you can do what's called flipping in Apex in their evaluation. So you can switch to a micro and basically get in a trade and out of a trade right away. That counts as a trade, and then don't trade anymore that day. You can do that for the rest of the 6 days, and then you end up passing your account as long as you don't go below this $3,000 mark. So you must close out your position by 4:50 the trading day. Now, the majority, I'm only going to say that I have this on all the other prop firms, so I'm only going to say it one time unless it's different, which will be Top Steps, the only one that's different. But basically, it's either, it's safe to say 10 minutes before 5 close out. They may even go up to 59. You can trade to 5:50 or 4:59 Eastern time, but just to be safe, close out of it at 10 till. Just to say, hey, I want to make sure I'm out of this. A lot of them may even close you out themselves. So, but that's one of those little quiet rules, so to speak, that you could blow your account if you forget to close out of your trade. But that's just common sense, If you're not responsible enough to get out of your trade, then hey, blow your account. That's your own fault. You can't have a short and a long at the same time. What I mean by that, say you got 2 separate Apex accounts. You can't go long in one and short in another one. Kind of like no matter what, one of them's going to pass, you know what I mean? One of them's going to fail, so to speak. You're going to make money in one of them. You can't do that. They say, hey, Fibs has 2 Apex accounts. He's going long. They know that kind of stuff. It'll definitely they'll kick you out. Don't hit your trailing drawdown. Again, this is a trailing drawdown. That's the main rule, really, is don't hit that trailing drawdown. And what's the difference of that rule in having a personal account of $2,000? How much are you willing to lose before you say, okay, I'm done trading? So that's the whole concept of where people say there's too many rules. Really, the main rule is don't hit the drawdown. You have $2,000, don't lose it. You lose your account. In real money, you have $2,000, you lose $2,000, guess what? You lost your account. So there's really no difference. I put this in there because Top Step has a different thing for trading minis and micros. Again, I won't say this all the time for each one, but basically 1 mini equals 10 micros when you compare them. So you can either trade 1 mini or 10 micros. So for example, for a 50K account in Apex, you can trade up to 10 minis, which therefore means 100 micros you can trade. So again, don't hit the account drawdown. And this is the drawdown per account. There's more accounts. I only listed these first 4 because pound for pound, or I got a slide at the end that compares the percentages. Basically, 25, 50, and 150 are your best percentage ratios of drawdown to profit target to hit. And you'll see here, like for example, 25K, it's basically 100% of your drawdown. You need to make $1,500. So it's exactly the same. They give you $1,500 drawdown. You need to make $1,500 to pass that account. Goes to 50K. You have a $2,500 worth of money to play with the drawdown. You have to hit 3,000. As you can see, pretty damn close. There's only a $500 difference. Now, when you jump up to 100K, you have 3,000, which is only $500 more drawdown than the 50, but you have to make $3,000 more in profit. So that's where I say that ratio, you can see that's not a good ratio. You're going from only needing $500 more to needing $3,000 more. That's pretty damn big. And in the 150K account, they give you 5,000. Granted, you have $9,000 profit, but if you look at the actual ratio, it's better than the 100K account. Because basically, the 100K account, you need to make 100% of your drawdown to make your profit. If you make 100% of your 150K, you'll be making $10,000. So you really don't have to make, 100% of your drawdown to make that. So that's where the benefits, comes in there. So that's why we say, or I say, 25K, 50 or 150 is probably your best bet, Apex. So we'll say you get to the point where you pass your account, you get your $3,000, it's 7 days, boom, you pass your account. You go to which they call it the PA account. You're not in a live account yet. You're still sim trading, but it's called PA. Again, the closeout, that's the same. So I'm not going to go over the short and long. That's the same. Same thing. Don't hit your drawdown. Now the drawdown here, it's a trailing drawdown, which will stop once you get to your drawdown plus $100. So for example, in a $2,500 K account, you gain $2,600, that drawdown stops. So if you go, it stops at basically $50,100. You can't go below $50,000. So once your account hits its $52,600, your drawdown don't go up anymore. So you make, we'll say you make $55,000, or you make another, $2,400. So your account's at $55,000. You can lose down to $50,100 because that trailing drawdown stopped at $50,000 plus $100, $50,100. So you can lose that. So it locks in at that point. So again, once you hit that 52,600, it locks in at 50,100. You can't lose it. Go below that. And the same thing comparison for the other account. So when you go to the PA account, there's two different options to pay. You could pay a monthly fee, and if you're on Tradevate, it's $105 a month, or on the Rithmic side of it, it's $85. Difference between Rithmic and Tradevate, you'll have to do some research on it. I just stick with Tradevate because I got a Mac computer, and Tradevate works with Mac. NinjaTrader doesn't work with Mac unless you do parallels or some other shit. So NinjaTrader works with Rithmic, and Quant Tower, I think, is another one, and there's a couple different other ones. So there's different brokers out there that you can go with. But for some reason, Tradevate, it must cost more with data, because that's why it's $105 a month. Or you can choose to pay a one-time fee, and that's all you pay. And it goes up with the account. So for example, 25K account, you pay $150 one time. That's it. 50K, it's $160 one time. And as you can see, as the price goes up, this goes up. Your one-time fee will go up. And they call it a lifetime fee. So I think it's like after 10 years, you'd have to pay it again, which majority of people. Now, what's better? People are going to ask, what's better? Monthly fee or just one-time fee? Personally, if it's your very first PA that you pass, I would probably pay $105, because the chances that you have that account where you're going to have to pay another $105 next month are pretty slim. And it's just because, not that the rules or anything are different, but you'll trade it differently than you did before. And majority of people probably lose their first, PA account. I ain't gonna lie, I did. Oh, I lost, I think, my first 3. So, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. I would recommend to pay monthly initially, then go from there. But one of the rules that change in the funded account or PA account is they add a 30% consistency rule. talked about that earlier, that 30%. So for example, you need a bare minimum target of $52,600 before you can withdraw money. So we'll just, to make the math easy again, we'll say once you hit $3,000, you're wanting to withdraw money. So the 30% consistency rule basically says is you can't make more than $900 because you're looking at $5,300 in one day. If you do, that just goes up. You know, instead of 53, you might need 53,250 or 53,1 or whatever it is. You have to do the 30%. Another thing is you can't go, for example, say I'm trading 5 minis in my account, my PA account. I get to the funded stage and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to switch over to micros because I don't want to lose my account. They look down upon that, and I haven't done it yet to test it to see if they'll still pay you or not. But they say that if you do that switch, it'll throw up a flag on your account and they may not pay you. Or they may say, hey, you need to continue trading or something else. I personally don't know exactly. One of the benefits of the Apex is they allow you to have 20 PA accounts. And don't get, it's another marketing scheme where you hear people say, well, that's 20 accounts I can trade. I can spread my drawdown out throughout those 20 accounts. That's bullshit. The only thing that the 20 accounts benefits you is basically if you link your accounts together, you trade one account, and whatever happens in that one account, it happens in all 20 of those accounts. So the benefit is if you reach the profit target and to where you can withdraw in one account, we'll say you can withdraw $1,000. Guess what? You can withdraw $1,000 in each one of these accounts. So that's $20,000 in your favor. On the flip side of that now, where people will say, well, my drawdown's spread out over 20 accounts. No, it's not. Because whatever you lose in one account, you lose in every account. So if you blow one account, you blow every account. It's not spread out. You blow those accounts. So the only real benefit of linking it is if you know you're going to be doing good, your profits are going to be 10 times, 20 times, however many accounts. So that's a benefit. Speaking of profits and payouts, so with Apex, the first $25,000 you make, you get to keep it. After that, it's 90-10 split. So if you take out $1,000 after you made your 25K, you keep 900, they take $10. So, and that's usually standard. Some of them are 80-20, but 90-10 is the average. Apex is the only one that allows you to have $25,000 before you have to split your profits. And this is per account, not per account holder. So for example, you know, I open up an Apex account, I have 20 different accounts under them. That's $25,000 in each of those accounts before I have to do this 90-10 split. As far as I know, that's the only firm out there that does that. Again, they allow 20, you're allowed to have 20 PA accounts max. Again, that's the only firm out there that does that. One of the drawdowns for it is you have to trade 10 days before requesting a withdrawal. So for example, remember I said you have to hit that bare minimum in a 50K account, 52,600. We'll say you hit 53,000, so you can withdraw on day one. You can do that, but you still have to continue to trade 10 days before you can request that withdrawal. They don't have to be consecutive. They just you have to have 10 trading days to trade. And on top of that, you can only request on the 1st through the 5th of the month or the 15th through the 20th of the month. So this here is probably where people's biggest gripes and concerns about, you know, prop firms, these type of rules. And yeah, I can understand that, because if you got to trade for 10 days, even though you have the money in that account to withdraw now, that's what that firm's banking on, that those 10 days you're not going to be consistent and profitable, and you're probably going to blow your account. So you got to be really disciplined, prop firms. But, you know, it is what it is. The bad thing about it too is we'll say that 10 days, say you pass the account on the 8th, or no, not the 8th, because the 10 days would be, so it'd be the 11th. Say you pass this account on the 11th and you switched over to the PA account. So now 10 days from the 11th puts you at 21st day of the month. You can't withdraw until the 1st. You don't have to continue to trade. So long as you got 10 trading days in and you're happy with your account, you don't have to continue to trade. You can stop, wait till the 1st, and then request a withdrawal. You just have to have 10 days worth of trading in that PA account before you can request a withdrawal. So your withdrawals are limited. Here's your limit down here per account. So in a 50K account, you can only withdraw $2,000 the first 3 months of that account. So 2 times a month, you can withdraw $2,000. So technically $4,000 a month for the first 3 months, you can withdraw. You have to request a minimum of $500 to withdraw. After that, so starting your 4th month, that limit is gone, and you can, there's no limit in the withdrawal, however much you can withdraw. So that's Apex's rules. Let's go to, this is Apex's, they have several different accounts to pick from. The darker color is the Tradovate, the lighter color is the Rhythmic. So it's roughly, I want to say $10 or $20 cheaper difference of the two. But I only have the 250K here. It actually goes up to, I want to say either 300 or 350. So here's what I was talking about, the drawdown and trailing threshold. So as you can see, 25K, it's 1,500 money you get to play with. You need to make $1,500 goal. So basically, it's 1 for 1 or whatever, however you want to compare it. 50K, you have $2,500, but you need to make 3. It's a difference of 500. They have a 75K, and it goes up even, more than that. 100 is 3,600 or 6,000. So you need to make, basically 100% of your threshold to pass. 150 is 5,000, 9,000. So it starts coming back down. But then you go up to the 250. They give you $6,500 more, or basically it's what, $1,500 more, but you got to make $6,000 more. So you can see the jump there. Yeah, it's a marketing scheme. You got $250,000 and $6,500 worth of trailing threshold, but if you look at it, you need way more profit goal than you do in that 150. You only have $1,500 worth of money to play with, but you got to make $6,000 more. So that's why I say, 25, 50, and 150K in Apex is probably your best bet. Apex usually has 71%. It seems to be their standard discount is 71%. And sometimes last year they jumped to 90% a lot. Ever since Thanksgiving, I don't think they did a 90%. It's only been like 80%. And then they throw in, you could pass in 1 day instead of waiting 7 days. So it's a marketing scheme. So let's go to Top Step. Okay, so Top Step, their evaluation rules, they have a consistency, but it's only in their evaluation. So for example, if you have a $6,000, or we'll say the 50K account, you have a $3,000 profit goal, you can't make more than $1,500 in 1 day, or you have to make more profit goal. So we'll say you make $2,000 in 1 day. So instead of $3,000, you need $4,000 to make to pass that account. So that's how that consistency. And Top Step, I think it's either 10 after 4 or 4:15. So instead of 5 o'clock or 10 till 5, it's basically 4:10, 4:15. So it's almost like trading SPY options. Actually SPY options to go till 4:30. So it's even worse than that. Now Top Step gives you a daily drawdown limit. So not only do you have a normal drawdown of $2,000, they give you a daily drawdown. We'll just go with the 50K account of $1,000. You remember what I said earlier, that instead of $2,000, basically it's $1,000 to play with. But if you lose that $1,000 in that day, you don't lose your account. You just lose the ability to trade, and that $1,000 comes off this $2,000. So the next day, your drawdown here is $1,000, which would equal your daily drawdown. So that's, I'm not a big fan of the daily drawdown, but I understand why they do it the way they do it. Because if you lose $1,000, that's a pretty tough beat. And what they do is they lock your account to where you can't trade anymore. So basically, you can't revenge trade. So in a way, I like it, but I still don't like the idea of, hey, they're giving you $2,000 to trade with, but if you lose $1,000, we're going to lock you out of your account. At least you don't lose your account. Here's the pricing on the tiers, and they normally don't have any kind of specials. This is their specials. If you listen to their YouTube channel, a lot of times they have a reset. You get free resets, and I usually post them in the Discord we're in. But $49 for a 50K account. Again, don't get caught up on 50K, 100K. Down here's what you really want to worry about is the drawdown. It's 2,000, 3,000, and 4,500. And it's basically the same concept as Apex. You know, your best bet is probably the 50K or 150K again, comparing percentages wise on that. Now with Top Step, with all the other ones, 1 mini or 10 micros. With Top Step, it's 1 mini or 1 micro. They're both the same. They don't allow, even though 1 mini equals 10 micros, it's 1 for 1. So that's one of the bad things with Top Step there. Supposedly they're fixing it, because when they first started out years ago, that's how their system was set up, 1 and 1. They're in the process of upgrading stuff and fixing it. So we'll see what happens with them. When you pass Top Step, you go to what's called an Express Funded account. You get to the Express Funded account, regardless of the account you have, it's a base $149 one-time fee. You pay $149, you get basically into their, it's a funded account. It's just not a live account. It's funded. So with that, your drawdown, your daily drawdown, still the same, but you don't blow your account. You just lose the ability to trade that day. And then your drawdown, same thing. You basically have to make that drawdown again, which is normally how prop firms work. You pass it one time, and then whatever your drawdown was in your eval, once you hit that drawdown, you can start withdrawing money. That's one thing with Top Step does different than the other ones, is that once you get to the Express Funded stage, you have to have a minimum of 5 trading days of $200 or more before you can withdraw. So you don't have to wait to 10 days. You don't have to wait a specific time frame of part of the month. As long as you got 5 trading days in, and they don't have to be consistent, of $200 or more, you can withdraw up to 50% of whatever's in your account. So bare minimum, we'll say you trade, for 5 days, you make that $200. So you're at $1,000. If you wanted to, you can withdraw up to 50%. So you can withdraw $500. The only problem with that is, instead of having a $2,000 drawdown, whenever you withdraw, whatever money you have left in that account becomes your drawdown. If you reach this $2,000 drawdown, it locks it in at $2,000. So for example, we'll say you make $3,000. So you're above the $2,000 limit. You withdraw $1,000. You got $2,000. Basically, zero becomes your number. It works. You start at zero. You could go down to minus $2,000. Better way of doing it would be this way. You make $1,500. So if you make $1,500, you're underneath this $2,000 limit. You withdraw $500. You only have $1,000. Instead of it going, negative at 2,000, it's basically whatever you have left in your account. And I guess it's the same thing. If you make $2,500, you withdraw 500. You basically have $2,000. So in a roundabout way is whatever you have left in your account, that becomes your drawdown. Just because you didn't hit this $2,000 limit where you have a $2,000 drawdown. We'll say you make $1,500 in your account, but you don't withdraw money. You still have to negative $2,000 of a drawdown. So you can lose that $1,500 and you can lose another $2,000 because that's your drawdown, negative 2,000. Until you would hit that $2,000 level, your drawdown basically becomes zero. So once you hit this $2,000 limit, so you make $2,000, your drawdown now becomes zero. You can't go to zero to lose your account, or you'll lose your account. Now your first 10,000, I don't have that listed here. With Top Step, you get to keep the first $10,000, and then it's here it is. You keep the first 10,000, and then it's again 90 and split. Same thing as before. Now this, regardless of how many accounts you have, this is across all of your accounts. So once they pay you $10,000, it turns into a 90-10 split, regardless if you have 5 accounts, 10 accounts. Now with Top Step, you're only limited to, I want to say 3 funded accounts at one time. For Apex, it was 20. Your minimum payout is $125. Now with Top Step, once you get to the express funded stage, they put you on a scaling plan. And what their scaling plan is, for a $50,000 account and you're below $1,500, you can only trade 2. So that's either 2 minis or 2 micros. And it goes up as, your fee goes up, so to speak, or not fee, your price goes up. So when you get $1,500 to $2,000, you can trade 3, and above 2,000, which is 5, that's the normal 50K anyway, it's 5 contracts. You go to 100 and the 150K, they're basically the same up to $3,000. So it goes 3, 4, 5. So it's basically 1 more. And then once you go above the 3,000, basically you can trade the normal 100K, which is 10, and 150K, 15. So that's I'm kind of tossed here with this. It's good and bad. A lot of people don't like it. And what sucks is, you've been trading 5 contracts, you're used to it, that's your thing, that's your, and you do good at it, that's your plan. So yeah, it kind of hurts there, but by doing this, they're making you not over leverage. Once you get to that funded account, they're limiting you to only those 2 contracts or 3 contracts. That way you're not over leveraging yourself, and you're working your way up, showing you're consistent. So I like it, but I don't like it. Take Profit Trader. So this one here was the very first prop firm that I joined, and I thought this one was the best because I didn't know anything about any other. I was introduced to prop firms. This was the one that got introduced to me. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'll try it out. I'm like, all right, this is a pretty cool prop firm. This is how I learned. Same thing, they have the 50% consistency rule as Top Step, except they do the 1 mini, 10 mini thing. Now, the difference between them and Top Step is they still have that daily loss limit, but if you hit their daily loss limit, you blow your account. So here's where I say, the whole marketing scam where they say, okay, in a 50K account, you have $2,000 worth of drawdown. But in reality is if you hit $1,000 in one day, you lose your account. So you only have $1,000 ever play with this account daily. You can't lose more. Even in a funded account, it stays there. You can't lose more than that $1,000 where you blow your account. They have what's called pro because their funded accounts pro. And then I think their Pro Plus plan actually will do away with this account here, this $1,000 fee or $1,000 daily. But when you go to the Pro Plus plan, that's considered a live account, and you have to pay a monthly fee of I want to say $133 for data fee is what they call it. But this is their price. They normally do 40% off, and they have different things they do where currently I think today was their last day that they offer once you pass, you don't have to pay for their regular pro account. Once we go to the next slide, it's $149, basically just like Top Step. Once you get to the funded stage, you pay $149. Well, they were doing a promotion where it was 40% off, that's where this comes in, and you don't pay ever. Even if you reset this account, you never have to pay for a pro account. But I believe that ends today. So again, that's your drawdown. You have to reach this goal here to get pushed to the stage. And the rules of prop firms are simple. A couple of them have 3 out of the 6, so half of them have a daily loss limit that I'm going to be going over. So that kind of sucks there. But the other ones just don't hit the drawdown and you're good. Almost all of them are you can't trade news. So FOMC at 2 o'clock, you can't trade the 2 o'clock news. I think it's like 2 minutes before, during it, and 2 minutes after. So basically there's a 4-minute window where you can't trade. So for example, for FOMC, it kicks off at 2. You can't be in a trade at 2:58, between 2:58 or between 1:58 and 2:02. You can't have a trade on. If you're in a trade before 1:58, you have to get out, and then you can't re-enter until after 2:02. So it's like a 2-minute, and the majority of them are like that. Top Step isn't. You could trade through news, but the valuation stage of Apex, you could trade through news, but the actual funded stage, you can't. So Take Profit funded, you get to the funded stage, it's $149. They still have their daily drawdown on there. And then it's the same as the other ones, or same as Apex. It's basically once you hit the drawdown plus 100, you can withdraw money. So for a 50K account, 50 to 100, you can withdraw money. Now, the benefit of Take Profit is you can do that once you get to the funded stage. The consistency, there is no consistency rule. So we'll say you get funded and you make $5,300 right away. First day, boom. You can withdraw money right away down to this buffer limit, which would be basically $2,100. So if you make $3,000, you can withdraw down to this $2,100 buffer. You have to keep that buffer in, I think, for 90 days or something like that before you can start pulling from that buffer. They have an 80-20 split. They don't have, you get to keep the first 10,000. It's just a straight 80-20 split. Now, say for example, you make $55,000. So you're up basically that $5,000. You have the buffer plus more. Then you hit your daily drawdown of $1,000. So you're down to 54,000. You lose your account, but you can withdraw all the money down to that 50,000 that you gained. So that's, I guess, a benefit of it. Even if you blow your account, if you have the money in there, you can withdraw that money down to that there. Now, if you blow your account because you went below the drawdown, you can't. If you blow the account because you hit the daily limit, then you can withdraw your money. They still allow you to withdraw your money. So I guess it's kind of cool they do that, but I just think I don't know why they don't just do away with this daily limit once you get to the funded account. Now, I think, let me go back to Top Step. I thought Top Step did, no, they still had the daily in the funded account. That's right. So my funded futures, this is a new one I'm looking at. It's a little different. They have a starter, what's called a starter account and an expert account. Their starter account is basically just like the majority of the other ones. They either have a daily drawdown, a consistency roll, something like that. Now their expert account is a little bit more expensive, and that's where I have it here. And they basically just have one rule, plus the news rule. You can't trade during news. Is don't hit the drawdown. You know, you could trade however you want, just don't hit that damn drawdown. So the starter account's $50. The expert account is $126. The difference is starter account has a consistency roll. I believe it's 40% maybe. And once you get to the funded stage, you have to pay for the starter, where with the expert, you don't have to pay to get into the funded stage until you make $5,000, and then they transfer you to a live account where you have to pay the data fee after you make 5,000. But the drawdown's the same in both of them. The profit goal's different now. So basically you have to get, you know, a little bit more profit goal wise in the expert account. So it's a little bit harder, but the benefit is whenever you come over here to the funded part of it, this $149, that's only in the starter stage. With the expert, you don't have to worry about that fee. And when you withdraw money, oh, so that's right. When you get to the funded stage, there's a 40% consistency in the starter, where remember with Apex it was 30, this one's 40, but in the expert there's 0. So once you make money to where you can withdraw, so once you hit this $52,000 and you can withdraw money with expert, there is no limit besides you have to withdraw $1,000. With the starter, you can draw 60% of your profit for, you know, for your withdrawals. They have a $10,000. You keep the first 10,000, and it's a 90-10 split. And then the starting account has a scaling plan, which I'll go over. Expert one, again, doesn't have that. So expert stage, it costs a little bit more for the account, but you can withdraw your money right away. And with this one, I believe it's every 14 days. And the 14 days are calendar days. I don't think I have that on. No. So the 14 days are calendar days. So for example, on day one of the funded account here, we'll say I made $54,000. So I can withdraw, you know, as long as I withdraw a minimum of $1,000, I can withdraw that. But I have to wait 14 days to do that. But I don't have to trade those days. I just have to calendar days. You have to wait 14 count. Basically, every 2 weeks you can make a withdrawal as long as you're above the profit target. You don't have to trade every day. As long as you're above this profit target, you can take a withdrawal. So say I take, I'm at $54,000. I decide to take $1,000 out. I take that $1,000 out. I'm at 53. I could wait 14 days and don't even trade and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take another $1,000 out. Or I could try to trade and build the account up, you know. So you don't have to trade. That's the biggest thing with my funded trade futures. You don't have to trade those 14 days compared to Apex. And their end of day. It's an end of day drawdown. It's not, all these are end of day drawdowns except for Apex. Apex is the only one that's a trailing drawdown. So this is the starter account where I said, you know, once you get to the funded stage, they limit your, it's a scaling plan, and it's almost identical to Top Step's scaling plan. So that's the difference. Trade day. So trade day is one of the best drawdown to profit target ratio in the business. Their rules are basically the same, except you have to trade for 10 days minimum. And I don't, as far as I know, they never cut that down. It's always 10 days. So you have to trade a minimum of 10 days to pass the account. Regardless of how much money in, you have to trade a minimum of 10 days. And they do the mini to micro. It's end of day drawdown. And they're expensive. Now they're doing a promo. I'm not sure how long in February, but I believe it's called Feb 50, all capitals, FEB 50. And it's 50% off of all their accounts. So I want to say for the 50K account, it's actually $82 or $86. For their 150K account, it's $175, I think, is the special they're running now. But what I mean by the best ratio is for a 50K account, it's $2,000. You only have to gain, $2,500. Where with Apex, it was $3,000 or $2,000, $2,500 and $3,000. So that 50K was similar to Apex. Where it shines is if you move up to the $1,000 account, that $3,000, now you only have to reach 5,000 instead of 6. So it benefits you there. So the 100K still isn't bad, but the best one I think would be the 150K because you get $4,000 worth of drawdown and you only need $7,500. So that's probably one of the better ratios out there. The bad thing is during the evaluation stages, they do have a 30% consistency rule. But remember, you got to trade 10 days anyway, regardless. So if your profit target is, $2,500, then, that 30% basically is $750 a day. So $750 a day times 10 days is what, $7,500. So really, you don't even have to, hit that. When I say $2,500 your profit, divide that by 10 days is you only need $250 a day to pass that account. So you're going to be nowhere near that 30% rule. You have to trade 10 days minimum. So if you do, $250 a day, that's good. So even for that, just $7,500, 30%, you can't make more than $2,250 a day, but you really trading 10 days, you have, minimum, we'll say bare minimum, you need, $750 a day. So that 30% consistency rule should not factor in at all with this. To me, that's just like a gimmick to get in your mind and be like, oh man, I got to make sure I stay below a certain amount of money, or, just don't even worry about that. Just basically trade. And once you hit the minimum daily for those 10 days, or, even $900, if you just say, hey, I'm not going to make more than $900, keep it at $900, shit, you're good. Even $500 a day. Other than the 150K, you'd pass it. So this one here, it's more expensive, but the benefits of this one here is probably the best out of all of them, because the percentage of profit target versus drawdown is the best on trade day. So their funded rules are basically don't hit the drawdown. And again, these drawdowns are end of day drawdown. It costs you $139 once you pass to get to the funded stage. After you get to the funded stage and you reach $5,000 in profits, they'll push you to the live account, and it's like $133 a month fee for data. But that's after you reach $5,000 in profits. There's no limit for your drawdowns, and there's except for you have to $500 is the minimum withdrawal limit, but once you get funded, so once you get to the funded stage, you basically start at zero. You can't go to minus 1,500, minus 2,000, minus 3,000, minus 4,000. So once you gain money in your account, and I believe once you hit that $2,000 plus limit to where it stops trailing, you can withdraw money, and there's no, you have to wait a certain amount of days. And actually, I think you can even withdraw. It's kind of like Top Step, except you don't have to wait the 5 days. So say you make $1,000 right away, you can withdraw 500, but again, that only gives you $500 worth of drawdown then before it hits that zero, whatever you have left in your account. You don't have to wait for a certain amount. So if you make $1,000 in one day or $1,500, you can withdraw $1,000, but you only have that $500 limit. And of course, they have the no news. So personally, out of all of them, yes, trade day is the more expensive one, and it takes longer in the evaluation because you need 10 days. And with like any prop firm, what they're banking on is the longer you're in there trading, the more chances of you blowing your account, becoming impatient, doing this, doing that. So as long as you're disciplined and have a good trade plan, to me, not that I'm pointing at one or the other, but trade day is probably one of the better bets, especially now that it's 50% off. They're probably one of your best bets. Again, just starting out, Apex might be the best one because it's the cheapest, but I believe trade day, I'm probably going to pick me up a trade day account. So Blue Sky, I threw this in here because just to throw an extra one in there. I've tried this one. Initially, I liked them, but then I realized that their daily drawdown is just like Take Profit Trader. If you hit their daily drawdown, you lose your account. There's no, you lose the ability to trade, you blow your account. They have a 30% consistency rule in an 8-day trading. So they kind of combine a little bit of differences of other prop firms. What their biggest claim is that when you get to the funded stage is, they call it Blue Live, I think. So when you pass their regular stage, you get to the funded stage where you don't have to pay. You have to meet the profit target. So for a 50K account, you have to reach more or less $53,000, get that $3,000. Now that $3,000 is your money, but you can't withdraw it yet. Once you hit that $53,000, what they'll do is they'll move you to a funded account, an actual live funded account where you'll pay $122 out of this $3,000. So when they move you over there, you can withdraw then if you want to. And it basically that works is when they move you over to the funded account, that funded account is basically zero, and whatever you take over money-wise here is the money you have in that account. So for example, if you reach $54,000 or $53,000 here, we'll say $54,000, and they'll bump you over to it. You can withdraw that $1,000 to put it down to 53, and then your live account starts with $3,000 balance. You can't, that's your buffer. But you can withdraw anything, and but it goes, you just can't hit zero. So that $3,000, if you withdraw $1,500, you only have $1,500 to play with. And they have a scaling rule too here. And it's not really is that their, yeah, that's their scaling. It's which I think in the evaluation, the $50,000, they give you 10 minis to trade. So it cuts it in half. And same thing with 100K. This 150K is a static account. So these are wrong here. It's not minis. It's basically micros. You're allowed, I think, 2 micros or something. And then here's their payout. It's 80-20 profit split that they have. And you have to request a minimum of 250. And then you have to keep in, so okay, for a 50K account, you have to keep in $1,000 in your account. That's your buffer. So when you withdraw, you can withdraw down to $1,000, and then you'd have $1,000 buffer to play with. And I forgot, they say after 90 days, or I forgot how many days you can actually withdraw your buffer. So for example, you hit that $53,000, they push you over to the funded account. In your funded account, you'll have $3,000 in there as initially. You can't go below $1,000. You can trading wise, but money payout wise, you can take it down to it. So if you wanted to take $2,000 out, you could take $2,000 and have $1,000 buffer trade. You just can't let it go to zero on there. So this last slide compares the different firms. You guys, you could take a screenshot of this if you wanted a really quick comparison of the firms. But for me, Apex is the cheapest initially for just starting out wanting to try it. My funded futures is the cheapest altogether, but it's probably the hardest to pass, not to pass. It gives you an extra, $1,000 in the 50K account or more in the higher account. So it's going to be harder to pass than my funded futures, but it's going to be the cheapest all around. Apex is the only one up here that has a trailing drawdown. I take that back. Take Profit Trader, once you get to the funded stage, it's a trailing drawdown. But Apex is the only one with a trailing drawdown. Now, Apex and Trade Day is probably your best pound per pound percentage wise. So the drawdown basically in Apex, it's 83% of the profit target you need to hit. 83% of that is what you have to play with. Top Step, you have roughly 66% of it to play with, and not even that because you have $1,000 a day. My funded futures, it's 50%, so your profit target's 4,000. They only give you 2,000 to play with, so it's roughly 50% of your profit target is what you have to play with. Take Profit Trader, same concept as Top Step, so it's even less. Even though it's 60%, yeah, but it's actually $1,000, so it's less than 60% that you have to play with. Trade Day, again, it's the same as Apex. It's roughly 83% or more. And Blue Sky, it's the same as the other ones. Your profit target now, percentage-wise, you basically need to make 20% more. You still have to make the $3,000, but it's basically 20% more than what they give you to play with. Top Step, you got to make roughly 50% more. My funded futures, you have to basically make 100% of your $2,000 to pass. 50% Trade Day, again, it's the same thing as Apex, comparable. And Blue Sky, it's the same as Top Step and Take Profit. Now, consistency roll, my funded futures is the only one that doesn't have a consistency roll. Apex only has it in their funded stage. They don't have it in their eval stage, and all the other ones have it in their eval stage. So by having it in the funded stage, this means that you can't have a winning, like a runner, so to speak. You get in a trade and it just so happens to take off in your funded account. You may want to say, you know what, that's going to be 30%. I better get out of this one. Where in all the other ones, you can just let that sumbitch run and try to maximize your profits. It's just going to benefit you in the long run. So they all have their little quirks. I would stay away from Take Profit Trader just because it gives you a daily drawdown of $1,000 and you lose your account completely. So you only have $1,000 to play with. Same thing with Blue Sky. I'd probably stay away from that if I was going to do it. If I was just starting out, again, I would probably do Apex because initially it's probably one of the cheapest. Be like, okay, yeah, that's probably the cheapest to jump into to try it. And then probably either My Funded Futures or Trade Day is one of the better ones, I think, just because of the end of day drawdown. And I'm really just Trade Day. I'm going to try it out here, especially with their 50% deal. So basically, it's would be $225 instead of this 272 all in on a 50K account. So it's comparable, a little bit less or more than Apex. So it's up to the individual, you guys, how you want to go about it. But me personally, Apex, for some reason, I've tried all these before. Apex has been the one I can consistently pass, even though it has, I don't want to say the worst drawdown. Kind of does, but I'm not sure because they give you more of a drawdown. So it initially it falls in, with that more drawdown. I could trade it the way I try to put my stop loss, because my stop loss, there's times where I trade the fibs and my stop loss can be an $800 stop loss. It could be $1,000 stop loss. So Apex gives me more of that option, where Top Step, I can't do that because $1,000 wipes my, I can't trade today. $1,000 in Take Profit Trader, I lose my account. Same thing in Blue Sky. Where Trade Day, that $2,500 is an end of day drawdown, so I think it's going to benefit me more in Trade Day. So I'm leaning more towards Trade Day. Trade Day is my favorite, but Apex, I've been paid out in Top Step. I've been paid out in Apex. I haven't been paid out in any. I know I won't get paid out in Take Profit Trader or Blue Sky because I'm not even going to attempt to purchase those anymore unless they hold some kind of crazy special that makes them dirt cheap. I'm probably going to do Trade Day here next. I currently have a funded account in Apex, 50K funded, and I'm working on a 150K account in Apex. And then, like I said, I'm going to be opening a Trade Day account. So that's where I'm at. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. And if you're a Discord member, the Fibonacci Fibs, you can shoot me a DM, or you can send me an email. I'm not sure how that works here on YouTube. If you click on somewhere, you can send an email. By all means, send me an email. Feel free. In the Discord, I usually give out my number to people. And if you do have my number, remember to text me before you call, because if it's a number I'm not familiar with, I'm not going to answer it. So shoot me a text and say, hey, Fibs, this is whoever. Let me give you a call. And I'll be like, all right, cool, man. I'd be expecting your call. So you can always get a hold of me. And if I don't get back with you right away, I'm either sleeping or busy at work. But normally, if I'm not sleeping, I'll get back with you probably within 30 minutes or so. Probably less than that. Unless it's during the trade day and I'm trading, I may not get back to you. So by all means, stay safe out there when you're trading. I hope this guy helped you guys. Have a good one.